Hello, today I will explain the technical reality of nuclear and renewable power, moving past public assumptions to look at the scientific truth. Now, imagine a world where cities go down at night, traffic lights don't work, hospitals rely on emergency energy sources, and phones become useless bricks of metal. Nowadays, society is choosing between renewable energy and nuclear energy, with the public being dominated by the mindset that nuclear energy is dangerous and renewable energy is clean. But is nuclear energy truly as dangerous as the public believes? As a nuclear power engineer, I'm going to talk about how nuclear energy is not the enemy of the environment, but an essential foundation that can allow society to build towards a completely renewable grid. As an example, Taiwan, because of people's resistance to nuclear power, depends heavily on renewable energy such as wind turbines and hydropower. However, these power sources do not have significant energy outputs and are unstable, which has led to over 8,140 electrical blackouts in 2023, according to the Taiwan Power Company. With so many blackouts, people need to find a solution. We know that renewable energy is a valuable resource, but we cannot rely on it alone because it cannot work when there's no wind or other sources of power. So now, we should prioritize nuclear energy as our primary base power source. Let's begin by looking at the heart of a city, its reliability. According to the World Nuclear Association, nuclear power plants have a capacity of 80 to 90%, which means that nuclear power plants produce electricity most of the time without specific required factors, such as weather. On the other hand, based on Ørsted, renewable energy's capacity is 35%, which is less than nuclear energy, meaning that nuclear power is more reliable for producing power without having any requirements of weather to function. Some people might think that renewable energy is sufficient for everyday use, but the reality is that renewable energy is highly dependent on weather conditions to function. Using only solar energy will make our society weak because of its low capacity. Now let's talk about the main thing that the public is most concerned about, the safety of nuclear power. According to the World Nuclear Association, there are over 18,500 reactors around the world, with only three major accidents from 1979 to 2011. According to Earth.org, the death rates from emergency energy production per terawatt hour are on this graph. Nuclear energy has a death rate of 0.07 per terawatt hour, slightly greater than the renewable energy. Also, as evidence in the graph, we can identify that nuclear power isn't that dangerous when creating energy. The death rate is as low as renewable energy sources that are considered clean. By having the data of the nuclear power plant's safety is controlled strictly by international organizations such as the IAEA and the Operational Safety Review Team to prevent any accidents, making nuclear power plants a safe place. However, some people might think that nuclear power is very dangerous because of accidents such as Fukushima, which was the latest nuclear accident in 2011, which was 14 years ago. But think about this. Technology had improved so much over these years. Just imagine your phone being upgraded so much. My iPhone 4S in 2011 to iPhone 70 Pro in 2025. People should not be stuck at the mindset that nuclear is absolutely bad, dangerous, and needs to be shut down. Try thinking nuclear power as your phone. From being the slowest phone having many problems such as battery leaking to a phone with performance, durability, and reliability. We all know that previously nuclear power was dangerous, but nuclear power has improved throughout the years. People need to rejudge it. Nuclear power now is safe, just like renewable energy. Now, let's move on to the most important part. Based on the US Department of Energy, nuclear power generates only about 20 tons of waste per year per nuclear power plant and produce an amount of energy that can power 72 million homes in 2024. The important part is about the safety of the storage and treatment of the nuclear waste. Low-level waste, such as clothing and tools, is disposed of in near-surface facilities, which have no environmental risk, and high-level waste, which needs to be stored in cooling pools for several years to reduce the heat and radioactivity. It's made of steel and concrete designed to contain radiation for 300 years. However, according to the US Department of Energy, nuclear power relies on finite uranium resources. However, according to the IAEA, nuclear fuel is extremely energy dense, which means that a small amount of fuel can produce energy that can be sustained for 30,000 years. On the other hand, it takes over 450,000 km square of land, with panels to power over 900 years to be able to get that level of production. So while humans are working on technology of renewable power, nuclear power can let humans have the basic needs of electricity as a reliable foundation of a sustainable future. So we have to use nuclear power now while we are working on the technology of renewable power. Thank you for listening.